that old home bakery. I knew I was smelling homemade bread. I could smell that stuff in it. Like my grandmother raised me. She made it in the middle.
So you can see a long way. They do say that this is this home here was back in 1860 was only a home here. They had a big fountain. I've got a picture of it, in fact, that I can show everybody. It's on.
Does this building go back to 1860?
Yes, and in fact, the people who owned it were miners. Lead mining is very popular. Lead mining was the only industry at that particular time. And in those woods there is at the base of the hill is a chariot race horse track around a pond that's stocked with goldfish. The lady at the house loved chariot races, and every Sunday afternoon they would have chariot races around it.
So it was a private residence before it was a nunnery?
Yes.
Wow.
And then they bought it when lead mining stopped or ceased to exist. Then that's when I'm not sure what they call, there's so many different names.
Well, the Catholics bought it, and the first thing I ever knew it was the home of the Good Shepherd.
And actually what they would do is wayward girls, they would recruit them for the nunnery. And then they would get them to work here. They had a...
They did sewing
and laundry, and then they would have them quote things. They have this little cement place over there, and they'd walk around it and have the quote, and they'd indoctrinate them through their mind. And on various occasions, some have come back and just wanted to do it because they lived here for a number of years, and a lot of them went into the other. In fact, our neighbors there, they call it Sisters of Presentation. This is the most Christian educated community of its size in the country, but it's all Catholic.
Yeah.
The hamburger, no, not the hamburger, the hot dog people, that is Wallert, and they own a lot of the view, and that's where this is from.
Folks, this is Brother Stottmeister, Sheldon Stottmeister, and his wife, Stottmeister, the pastor here. How long have you been pastor here now?
9 years in November, the first week in November.
Graduated from our college, originally from the Quad City area, right? Farm boy.
Yep. God just moved me upriver. Bunch of stubborn Germans. So God just moved me among a lot of other stubborn Germans. What's unique about this is not only the German, but the families are so big. We have 6 children, and to many people, that is small. There's several people here that have. One lady, for example, is one of 19. So everybody, 60,000 in the city, 100,000 in the county, but everybody's somebody's brother and sister. That's one thing that we've learned. Well, if you look at a name, there's a whole page of them in a phone book. It's just incredible. We haven't got that many yet. But well, come on in.
You're Randy Stottmeister?
Pardon?
That's his brother.
Randy Stott.
That's your brother? Yes. My brother.
I know him.
Did you all get to hear them talk about the chariot races? They didn't hear you tell.
Well, I'll say that when we get inside.
There you are. There you are. Right now. You are coming?
Recharge.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Come in the way here.
Hi, Harold.
The month of May, out of 30 days, it rained 21 days.
Sounds like home.
It's just been really depressing for the farmers. They can't get anything done.
Corn sure hasn't done much.
No.
This is like your home.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I had to dig holes for my garden. Couldn't dig the ground up.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Quite a bit.
By her.
Get my
Howdy, folks.
Do you remember me?
I sure do.
My wife Gail. I've seen her out here so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Gail McKinney.
Yes.
Yes.
Got a lot many notes from you.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's always
to see you again.
It's good to see you folks.
He's the driver. Actually, we're just chaperoning this
Oh,
crowd.
yes. You guys stay out.
Not Pacific November. Baptist church.
Don't forget to cross yourself.
Right.
Where's the baptistry?
Downstairs.
Down in the basement. I'll try to get to
The church I went to. When you preach,
Take a picture, look and see what's making up, and then see what you got there. It's a good idea.
passing this around. This is a picture of what they call the Vianney House back in 1878.
Sorry, it's too comfortable.
so that's the building next door?
That's the what they call the mansion.
Oh, yeah.
We're moving our membership.
This is all right.
Isn't it? Look at the,
Yes.
with his beautiful wedding. Absolutely gorgeous for a wedding.
My eyes are probably shut.
Look at the carving.
I have a terrible
Detailwork in the beam.
close my eyes and you can take a picture of me. I have mentioned about where's the baptistry. In fact, I have a couple booklets that I'll give some of you. I've spread around it. In '92, we had a 10-year anniversary. This is an infant church. It's only 14 years old. It started, oh wait, if I get on that, then I'll go on a different tangent. But our baptistry, believe it or not, is in the basement. We can see 250 people in the basement. There's a sloped auditorium. In fact, these chairs came from there. I don't know what the Catholics did, but they had some type of movie system. And they would actually show films downstairs. And when we first came here, the downstairs, and it's in this booklet, was all built in. They just kind of let it go. So it took a lot of work to get those chairs looking as they did. But I've never had anybody complain about those chairs. Sometimes I'll tell them to fasten your seatbelt and hold on. Get preached to. But we're almost to the point of having to take them out and put pews in because of seating. Just not enough seating. But, so for baptizing, there's pews downstairs. In fact, sometimes when it's really cold in the wintertime, obviously this is not very energy efficient. When it gets 23 below zero or 30 below and we get a wind chill, it's very hard to heat this. In fact, it's almost impossible to get it above 60. So what we'll do, particularly on a Wednesday night, we'll always meet in here on Sunday morning, but Wednesday night we'll go downstairs. And actually, they kind of like that. It's kind of an invention. But that's where we go down to baptize. We have an area that's it's almost as big as this, it's not as high. But that's where we have junior church and a lot of Sunday school rooms. So I wanted to say that. I want to give you a little bit of background of Dubuque. Obviously, this is a Catholic town. It's the most Catholic city of its size in America. In fact, when I first moved here, I was really concerned. There seemed to be so many traffic fatalities, and particularly one-car traffic fatalities. And I asked somebody in the church, what is going on? There's a lot of winding roads. They call this the Switzerland of the Northwest. And from here north, it's very beautiful. And this person said, well, they're all drunk. And that's true. They say that 1 in 74 people, and that's what they know of, is an alcoholic. So actually it's much more than that. And that's because of the Catholicism. Everything. You have a reunion, you have a wedding, you have a funeral, there's got to be alcohol there. There's always alcohol there. And so alcohol is so prevalent. In fact, alcohol consumption is second only to Munich, Germany, as far as city. Munich, Germany has the prestige of having more alcohol being drunk there. Anyway, the Catholics, they were very prudent about settling on river towns. They knew that people would have to come there and disperse from there. So if they could get them indoctrinated there, they'd have them for generations and generations, which they have. The people here are very stiff-necked and stubborn. It takes a long time to live in the city of Cascade. And they still look at us as, well, they can't understand why a Baptist preacher, number one, that is married, number two, they has children, number three, they wears big overalls. They don't understand. So I love it. And by the way, we've had some real inroads there. Hopefully, Lord willing, we'll be able to start another church there. But they would settle here and then go from here. Now, the first people that, of course, lived was there Indians. And they were known as mound builders, a lot of mounds around here. And actually, there were burial grounds, burial mounds, and they're very elaborate. And then some of the tribes that become kind of famous as of late, that was in Squawky, of course, they're into gambling and everything that goes with it. Of course, the Sauk, the Fox, and the Menominee. The Menominee people are wild. They were called wild people. In fact, there is every high hill, the Catholics would build something. Every high you go around here, they always have something. In fact, next door, I want to say too, this is the most ecumenical city in its size in America, I believe too. Across the street is a Plymouth Brethren Church, a Plymouth Brethren College, and Mays Bible College. They used to be in Chicago. And I love the fact that they have an excellent library, and every year they cleanse, or they go through their library and cleanse some things that they don't like anymore that I love. And I just go in there by the truckloads, and I've really been blessed that way. They don't understand me, and I understand them. This area, Emmaus, there's 2 Catholic universities, a Presbyterian, a Methodist, and a Lutheran college. So they're all interconnected with everything. So they look at us like we look at them. But what makes it not easy, everybody's religious. Everybody has a church. Everybody has a faith or something that they believe in. So it's not easy here. In fact, everybody that's a member here is a black sheep of their family. In fact, I visited a man yesterday in Guttenberg. There's a lot of family that come down here from Guttenberg. And this man is 93 years old, and he's saved, and he's probably not going to live very long. And I wanted to meet him because I'm probably going to preach his funeral. Another man on the way back, I stopped and visited this other man in the church who known as his son is in the church, and he told his son the only reason I went to see this guy in Guttenberg is I want his money. But that's the mentality they have, because that's the Catholic Church. Money, money, money. Anyway, this land was taken by France during the Napoleon Wars and sold as part of the Louisiana Purchase in 1802. Now, Julian Dubuque, who lived from 1762 to 1810, came in the area in the 1780s and started a lead mining operation. He was a miner and a trader. Dubuque is the oldest city, oldest town in Iowa. In fact, the Methodist Church, St. Luke's Methodist downtown, is the oldest church west of the Mississippi. It's a pretty unique place. It's dead in the north. It's beautiful, beautiful stained glass windows. You like that kind of thing, but it is about the most liberal place that you ever could understand. The first place settled, this was the first place settled because of lead mine operations. And Iowa was incorporated in the early 1800s. Dubuque began to prosper and grow as a nation. And as a nation moved west, and that was because of lead mines, trading in lumber. Lumber was a big industry, and even still is a big industry here. And that was the mainstays of the economy. Dubuque helped the Western movement when a man by the name of A.A. Cooper started and built covered wagons here. He made a fortune. In fact, when his daughter died in the late 1960s, still got way over $1 million. Ironically, when I was going through school, I worked in Crown Point, a lumber yard. The man who owned it was from Dubuque. I'll never forget when he told me that I told him that I was quitting and going to start a church or take a church in Dubuque. And later on that day, he said, I want to talk to you. He said, you know I'm from Dubuque? No, this guy was, it's a long story. Short, he said, I want you to do things. He said, I want you to see my That's true. Dubuque is very unique, and they want to keep it that way. So there's not a lot of industry here, unfortunately. And usually our children or the children of the people have to move elsewhere to find employment. Legend has it that Henry Ford offered to turn the copper wagon plant into the first major car company, but he didn't see the opportunity at that particular time. So that's pretty much the history of Dubuque. Now this church, it started ironically from a Bible church that used to be a Baptist church. In fact, Bill Rice pastored that church when he was attending Moody Bible Institute when he was going to college. You know that, Dr. Allen?
No.
And then I found that to be pretty interesting too. And then once he graduated, he moved elsewhere. But the Baptist church then became more and more liberal, and eventually became a Bible church. Well, this church was started as a result of some people in the Bible church. They didn't like the fact that they were changing to a different version of the Bible, and they just started, maybe we need to start a Baptist church. So from a core group in the Bible church, this church started. That was, when was that? That was in 82. And it wasn't easy for them. And traditionally, when they started out, they had a pastor that could do everything. He could preach, he could teach, he could sing, and frankly, he wanted to be another Jack Hyles. And started a school, a radio ministry, he did it all. And then they bought this building. Well, that's great and well if you got the money to do it. And unfortunately, their first year here in this building, he lived in what they call the Annie House. But they didn't realize the energy costs. $15,000 for the first year. And there was only about 80 people that particular time. That's a lot of money, plus your mortgage. So naturally, and they started Christian school. That was both men, they did radio ministry, Christian school, bus ministry, did it all, and then he left. And then the fellow that came after that, can you imagine coming after that and having to pay all those bills? It wasn't easy. In fact, people pretty much told me he preached on money a lot. I can't understand why. But he did. Now, they bought this property for $190,000. Now, and that, again, was from the Waller Corporation. In fact, there's 3 high schools in this city. The largest high school is a Catholic high school. It's called Waller High School. He owns what used to be FDL Foods, the Dubuque hot dogs. Go to the Cubs game, it's probably a pig from this area. Well, they were the people who owned that mansion were lead miners. When lead mining stopped, and it literally stopped, that's why Galena is so unique, because it just stopped in 1860 because of lead mining. When they sold that house, they sold it to a Catholic organization that actually was used to recruit nuns. They would find labor girls, and they would clean clothes, iron clothes, laundry them, and then they would indoctrinate them in the Catholic faith. I mentioned some people earlier. Next door, you can still go over there and see there's they call it the Sisters of Presentation. All the people that live there teach school. They're nuns that actually teach public school here, or the Catholic school. But there's a horse race track that you can still see going around. But it was chariot races. And every Sunday afternoon they would have horse chariot races going on there. Can you imagine 1860 people are dressed? If you look at the picture that's going on, dressed very elegantly. It's a very fashionable thing to do. And this, again, is the highest point in Dubuque. So this was someplace. Then it became a monastery, but still had some nuns there. In fact, there's rumors that there's tunnels that connect. There's a 60-room dormitory in back of this building. And the women would be on one end, the men on the other, but there was tunnels underneath. And well, actually, they sold it because the numbers, and it wasn't economically feasible. When Calvary Baptist Church bought it, then as a result, they didn't investigate concerning what it would cost as far as utility bills, but it was just phenomenal. And they kept the heat up, and that was very unfortunate. So the second year, they were hit with a lot of bills, and they just couldn't do it. So they went back to the Waller Corporation. Frankly, after the second pastor left, 2 years of struggling to pay the bills, and people were just tired of the work and the labor it would take to try to keep this church going. So they went back to the Waller Corporation. This is just prior to myself coming and saying, we just can't handle it. Can we work something out? They worked something out. They didn't want it back. They wanted, frankly, to give this place back. By the way, this is 4.5 acres of uptown property. This is very exclusive. There's the condos north of here are just unbelievable. $300,000 condominiums. And almost every other month, somebody from Galena or somebody from Chicago comes to me and asks to want to buy this because this is prime ground. And of course, I always refuse, but I am tempted just for a little bit. But I like it. You know, we could buy something, and Dubuque can only go west because of the river. And it is tempting. I tell people we'll never go through a building program. It's always restructuring or remodeling. Anyway, they went to the Waller Corporation and they came up with the fact that all they would have to pay for this facility is $75,000. And actually, we only owe $29,000.
Wow.
So that's real. And our payments are comparable to a house payment now. And in fact, we could almost, I foresee that we could almost pay this off completely this year. But when I came here, there was only 30 people, and they asked me if I would be willing to take a job because they couldn't see how if I told you how much they were going to pay me, how much they paid me a week, it was just unbelievable. We just rolled up our sleeves and went to work. The one thing that we did initially, right away, well, two things. It was in November, the heating season. And they didn't know how we were going to get through. And frankly, I didn't know how we were going to get through. What they heated this was two big Kiwani boilers. They're honestly as big as locomotive engines. When those things turn on, it vibrates, it shakes everything. And I thought, we are not, and we're pushing all that heat about 200 yards this way, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I did something, brother, Dr. Evans, that you told us not to do in school. But I went and got a loan to get a boiler that would just heat what we needed to heat. Just centrally locate what we used. They were using everything. That nurse was way down the other end, and we only started heating it that morning. It was just ridiculous. So, believe it or not, the bank here in town, can you imagine a new guy coming to town and the bank actually give him a loan for $8,000 to put in a new boiler in the church? They did it. I couldn't believe they did it, but that cut our heating bill by 3/4. It went from $12,000 to almost $3,000 just in that one year alone. So in 2 years' time, we paid off that new boiler, and people got excited. Now that wall was not here when we came here. I wish I could show you some pictures. There's a nun over there at the Sisters of Presentation. It's all the history of this place. But she's a former school teacher, and she's in her 80s. And I want all that information, because I would like to put it in a booklet form, and then when people like you folks come through here, I can just give it to you. But she won't give it to me like that. She wants to teach it to me. So I go over there late at night, and it's hot in there. When you're older, you want heat, and about 30 minutes, I'm going like this. And finally, I said, forget it. If you want to give me information, fine. If not, that's okay. But can you imagine that wall not being there? And we'll see this in a moment, but that area there is half as big as this. 30 people, and there's no carpet in here. There's all pews in here. I would preach, and I would hear my voice 3 times. This echo. We got to do something about this. So we put that wall up almost the next month, and then we met on the other side. So for people coming here, it was encouragement over there. There's a lot of lighting in there. It's a very unique room. But to come in this church, there's nothing in here at this point in time. It is as if we're going underground. So it was a struggle, but it was a blessing as well. And then we filled up that room, and then we came back over on this side. And that was a real. I never thought we ever come to the point where we have choir here, then we really became a church. It was very exciting and frankly, still is. You think of anything else, honey? That's pretty much, when we first came here, we lived, we're going to take you around, we lived at the nursery. What you see is the nursery, that's where we lived. And that's, I have something I always like to share. You never want to live when you work. Okay, especially if you're a workaholic like me, you're always working. And consequently, my family never really had me. And it wasn't a real good transition. I go from my study to my living room, frankly, and I was surprised. I was shocked at some of the things that people tell you, and as far as counseling and things, and it was very difficult for me. And then, when we first came here, we had 3 children, and now we have 6, and that just wasn't doing it. And there's, I believe Dubuque probably has the largest bat population of any place in America. And this facility has a lot of bats, which, and in fact, I was initially called Batman. I don't know why this year we haven't had any bats, but normally there'd be bats flying around, particularly in the Wednesday evening and Sunday night service. They're almost immune to it by now. But after a while, I think my children, and then one end of where we stayed became a beehive, so we really persevered. But now, I wish anything there was enough time I could take you where we live now. We live outside of Dubuque. Actually, it's 23 miles from here. And I tell the people, particularly Dubuque people, if they drive 10 minutes to work, it's a long way. So you can imagine to them, 23 miles, boy, that's a long way. So I nipped that in the bud. I said, if there's a too far, there's a too close. No. Well, we had a high day of 253, and right now we're averaging right about 200. It's summertime, so there's vacation time. But in fact, I'm really looking. Every year it gets. In fact, we just put those pews back there, which allows us to see a whole lot more. And we had a wedding 2 weeks ago, the first wedding of 2 families in the church, and that was very exciting for us. Very exciting for me. And since, even prior to that wedding and before, we're filled up and in Sunday nights, that's another thing that's very encouraging. On Wednesday nights, usually all of this is filled, and there's a few people in the balcony on Wednesday and Sunday nights. That's exciting for us, anyway. But we haven't touched the hem of the garment. Again, this is mission. I mean, this is a missionary, a mission place. But I just wish I had another lifetime to live to the Lord Terry, because I just think I'm just breaking some ground in so many ways. Before we kind of look around, did you notice the parking lot since you've been here last, brother?
I haven't had a chance to really look yet.
But everything, I have a philosophy, we don't do it unless we can pay cash for it. And people love that. They just love that. Can you think of anything I'm missing? She's my left hand, right hand. Anything? I guess that's it. So, anyway, that wall, because, well.
Oh, I know. You didn't say that this house 600 priests at one time.
That's right.
So after it was the home for wayward girls, then it became a seminary for priests, so that it can actually house 600 students. It did, or whatever.
It has a huge cafeteria and kitchen down. In fact, we have a priest, a former priest that's a member here. His name is Bill Slevin. He's wrote some chick tracts. In fact, not only was he a priest, but he was a witch. And he can tell you some stories. There's several covenants here in Dubuque. And he was telling me, he was a monk over next door. And he was telling me some stories one day, and I said, stop. I don't want to hear anymore. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. It's just amazing. And he's a very unique man. In a lot of ways, he's written a couple books.
Did
Anyway,
you lead him to the Lord?
pardon?
Did you lead him to the Lord?
No, he was, ironically, the way he was saved was through a tract that a lady gave him at a bank. And this was when he was a witch. If you study Catholicism, there's a lot of correlations that and masonry, masons and things, and he was very, very, very high up as far as a witch, and New Age, everything. That we meet regularly once a week, and it's just phenomenal some of the things that he includes me in. It was through that trap, it was a chick trap, that he became saved. And he had given his soul to the devil. He's a marked man in many ways. And he said, if I join this church, do you realize? No problem. I'm a marked man anyway, too. So let's go. Should we just make a full circle?
When you put this wall in, is all of that steps in the platform?
No. This is all wood. 1 inch oak. So we built this. I mean, the church man built it. That was really exciting. So to devise this in a small area was pretty hard. There's doors in back there. So the choir comes out from the back. So it's pretty exciting. In fact, there's what I want to do probably next year is to put the baptistry up there because we do have the plumbing and we can do that. And eventually I want to have my study in the Vianney house, and then there's a big room on the other side. The ceilings in that is just, I don't believe there's a place like it to do it. It's very, very beautiful. Yes. You know, there's every winter they want to come up with something to make this more energy efficient. But if we cover this, I was telling yourself that it's a good transition for people that have been involved in the Catholic faith to come here. It's not a whole lot different apart from all the idols and how they make it. Brother Pins, if you know Brother Pins, he's from Dyersville. You wouldn't believe the facility that they have there. It's unbelievable how they just drain these farmers from all the money that they make. But I don't want to cover it. I think it's unique. You know, I love it. When I go preach at some other churches and they've got 8-foot ceilings, I think I'm in a cave. So I really love it. Yeah, right.
Right. He would be such a joy.
When we moved over here, that really changed the atmosphere. Because there it was dead and dull, and I'm trying to encourage them. And frankly, I was discouraged. And how could I encourage people when I'm not encouraged? When we moved in here, boy, we became excited. We filled the maximum. We had 104 chairs there, and then we could seat 120. And we didn't even have it. We didn't have enough money to finish that off, frankly. So with just studded walls. But the people loved it. But can you imagine? There's my pulpit, there's where the pulpit was, and there's where I live. So I'd have to go far to go to church. That's for sure.
So when you expand where are you going?
Well, I'm not sure. There's another room that we can seat 300 in. That's pretty nice. One thing my wife couldn't do, she couldn't cook dinner Sunday morning. So you could really smell it.
That must be the door that goes into the pulpit. The floor looks like it used to be a basketball floor, doesn't it? Big room and hardwood floors. Looking at that over there, that makes me think of that one we went to, we went by there in Chicago. for school?
They don't now.
18, 20, I think.
What do you say the age was?
You can have them all.
What?
He says, you have your number? I said, I don't want any. You can have them all.
You're right in the right place, girl.
Do you want to pick up a baby here?
Oh, look at the rounded door. Oh,
Yes.
oh, I love that. That's cute. Look at that around the ceiling. Isn't that neat? That's cute.
Nurseries.
I guess you get out of
I think they got the ceiling fixed. That fan really.
Oh my goodness.
I love the rounded door.
Oh,
Yes.
That is.
Isn't that great?
That is, that would tie off that one. You really need just on the inside, but it'd be nice for around a
They have borders in our spring home.
Isn't that some border up there? Looks like a mosaic.
good.
Come on, get away from here.
The door's open.
just people dropping in.
Hey, preacher!
Well, I'd be afraid to catch my house not looking quite.
Not your house yet.
Those were bedrooms up there.
What's that? Bedrooms?
Yeah, we don't, he didn't want us to go up in there.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Let's shut the door down.
Yeah, this is where they used to live.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're looking at the bathrooms.
It's like living in
The bathrooms are gorgeous, aren't they?
Where they used to the bathroom. Absolutely gorgeous.
You see the ladies?
Now, this is what I call a nice sized door.
Yes.
Are you the last one, Doc?
As far as I know.
No.
We'll get the voting over the sink. Hey, go in and look at take a picture of this here. Yes. This is the men's bathroom.
Oh, man, look at that.
Look at this.
I'm getting a picture of all these ladies in the men's bathroom.
What did you get? The men's door?
Just don't pay the door.
Look at ladies' bathroom.
I looked in there.
Check the ladies' bathroom.
Shame those people can't read.
Gonna get us coming out of the men's bathroom.
I think when you work at college,
That's true.
nothing phases.
That's true.
They keep your job.
I've never seen them bad.
Harold, how do we get it down?
You can't take it.
That's original, isn't it? It's got to
It's beautiful.
be. Wow. Yes.
Fancy woodwork.
He likes laying in the bath. You got something.
Yeah.
Now, where's the women's bathroom? Oh, here. Okay, I gotta get a picture of some men coming out of the women's
Oh, the
bathroom.
ceiling's much higher.
You want this door a little bit so you
Well,
can see the ladies, the word ladies?
Look at that.
Brother Anglin should be walking out of it, but I didn't get it.
Hey,
He never made it in.
He's been used to doing our good at doing
Besides, they're making pictures. There you go. They've already got enough on me with that.
Yes, that's true.
One trip we went, Bob Johnson went in there before sure.
Look at the size of those windows.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The size of that sin. Good.
I got back last night.
Okay, I can tell it last Sunday, but one Sunday we had that, Williams daughter.
Now, see, I didn't even know. Well, you know, I called, got a hold of Brother Coastal, I didn't know, because see, Dad's brother, the youngest brother died. And so, and then I went over and spent some time with Dad. He got all confused and everything. Decided all his kids had died and oh, so they had a time. So. Playing games.
Come on, you old goat. You're supposed to be on the table, Baldy. That's mine. That's mine. That wasn't yours. That was on the end of the table. You hit it. You hit it. You ain't supposed to hit it. That's hers. That's hers.
Who's keeping score?
Okay, you ready? I'm ready. The what?
You can put a quarter in.
Downstairs was like living in a hotel. We lived upstairs, came down for me. Woo! Years, people would walk and go, Mr. Davis.
We have I have a philosophy. I don't want the world to have something better than our kids. And I don't, and I feel they don't have anything on us. So, and believe you me, we had to do a lot of work to make, this was all falling down, but this is that tin. In fact, we have a man in the church that reproduced a lot. But you can just imagine what that mansion next door would look like. It's just unbelievable. But as I was describing to you before, if you want to look, when you get a chance, there's a cement square out there, but that's where they would take the girls and they'd have to march around there and then quote a lot of the Catholic doctrine, and once again to indoctrinate them. Now what we hope to do by this summer, if you look out the window, we just put in that parking lot and we finished cementing there. And what I would like to do, particularly for younger families, and we're going to put a canopy here to make it conducive so they can come park there and just walk down the hallway right to the nursery, so they don't have to go outside to fight the weather. It seems like we have a long winter here. So that's our next project, is to make that hallway just as nice as you've seen everything else. And as I told someone, then I'll be content for a while. But put drop ceilings in, and then those 2 rooms that we came in, that we're going to use them. In fact, we use them now for classrooms, but we'll make it real nice. That will be done this year too. Actually, this summer. Then what I want to do is put my study. My study is actually right across from where the pulpit was, and it's just too conducive. I want to be available, and I am available, but sometimes people, if they just come in to do anything, they say hello, which is fine. But there's times when I don't want to say hello. I want to get nice. If I want to finish the thought that I had, or the sentence I was written, so I'm going to put my study there. And then on the opposite side of that is a room that is just unbelievable as far as ornateness, not only in the ceiling, but in the wood. It's just it's 12-foot ceilings, and there's a marble fireplace in every room. Can you imagine having some fellowship in there? I hope so. I hope that within a year, if you folks come back this way again, we'll treat you to a tea party. Unbelievable. But it's really a lot like where you're going to go when you go to Galena. This helps prepare you for that. I've got to say this too. This is kind of a special day for me to have you folks here, and of course, Dr. Evans. I'm just humbled. But today's also my 19th wedding anniversary. Isn't that so?
Well, let's sing to both couples, okay?
Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, God bless you. Happy anniversary to you.
Who thinks of all of the decor?
His wife.
She comes from, that's one thing that I established right away. Anything done in the church, she does it. If anybody has a problem with that, they have to talk to God about it. So, I've got to say this though. A lot of times, we for example, the carpet and the wallpaper. There's one fellow, and actually the fellow that teaches the teens, he wanted to have some input. He made that. And this is between us folks, okay? This is between us. He made that. And how am I going to tell him? Brother, that just doesn't fit. But he wanted to have one thing. But after she did this, and the entryway, he came to me and said, I get it now. I understand why you have her do it. We just do the work, and she does the coordinating. But praise the Lord for that. Well, that's really all that I have to show you folks, and it's a real blessing to have you all.
Do you have before pictures?
We really don't have a whole lot of that, do we?
You have to start taking those. Take a picture of your hallway before you.
I guess we just got busy clearing things up that we really don't have. I wish you could have seen what that place was before we even lived. Can you imagine making a home out of rooms? And it was, but she did it.
Need a history book.
Is it possible we can see that one room that you're talking about that would possibly be your next auditorium?
No, and then here's why. I put my name in. There's a lot of these small farm, rural communities around here that have a Methodist church, a Catholic church, a Lutheran church, and it's as if they'll send a student out there to run it. But what happens in times, they fold up. Well, they got this really nice, ornate furniture. I call them and I tell them, if your church is going to close up, call me. Maybe we would want to buy some of the furniture. So all those pews that we had in the back and even here, we've got all kinds of different varieties. Mm-hmm. But it's because of these small churches. And actually, we cut those pews down. We didn't pay a dime for them. Mm-hmm. How many pews do you think we have down the basement? We probably got 20 on each side that were given to us. All we had to do is cut them so they would angle, because it's a sloped auditorium down there. Got them for nothing. So that area is filled with furniture, and I don't know what we're gonna do with it. Well, I wanna go put it in build. If you can, and some of you before you leave, you ought to see, well, you really can't see. But anyway, it's,
Well, it's a 3-story other wing that belongs to this place. So if you walk around outside, you can see.
eventually, can you imagine? We have a Bible conference and you come in that room, it would just give your key to your room.
You couldn't make a motel up there.
Yeah.
You don't believe all the ideas that visitors have that come through, you know.
I told the people that Waco thing, we're going to sell stuff, we're all going to move in here and get guns and.
Wow. Now, where is it to be baptized? Underneath this? Where do you
It's
go?
actually underneath where the pulpit was, or is, and that other fellowship hall, we call it, that's the extent of the auditorium that's in the basement.
Oh, and that's where you take them down to baptize them?
Yeah, but I mean, at the close of the service, everybody gets up and goes down there.
But there's junior church, that's where they have junior church, and they go where kids go. And usually they stay there and they baptize. And all it is basically, we still heat the thing with cattle prongs, the old cattle thing, but they love it, and I wouldn't change it until we move upstairs. In fact, I haven't told them that's what we're gonna do, but they'll get it one of these days. Well, I guess that's all we can. I guess the next thing on your schedule is to get something to eat, isn't it? No?
Some of these folks know Brother and Mrs. Neil Fruit, and they're from this church.
Right. In fact, tell them. In fact, he is excited. He told me to pray for him because Wednesday he's preaching in chapel.
Yeah.
And you tell him that, boy, I'm just as proud as I can be.
Preaching in chapel this coming Wednesday.
Yeah.
He's a good man. He is a good man.
Hate to have him go, but can't stop it. I'm trying to figure out a way to keep my kids around here. Well, 19. You folks were married on the same day.
Yes. Yes.
This Thursday is our 16th.
We're just young married folks.
Yeah.
July the 1st is our 57th.
Wow.
57th, July 1st.
Is that right?
Excellent.
How old are your sisters now?
14, 12, 10, every 2 years.
How many is it for you this Thursday? 54 this Thursday. For Bob.
Yeah.
But we just got married. In fact, we set house.
I wasn't gonna let him go unmarried. I thought maybe he'd find somebody.
Play it safe.
Right.
Yeah, we actually set up housekeeping in apartments right across from
Pine Island.
Pine Island.
Pine Island.
There was one building then when we moved there.
Wow.
Sheldon, where did you get married? Where'd you get married?
In Rock Island, Edgewood Baptist Church. Mel Brown was the
Okay.
pastor. Maybe Brown's.
Right.
That's your home church?
Yep. Well, he went there a few months.
It's my home church. He
In fact,
was born and raised Lutheran.
her folks started that church.
Oh.
So it's a small world.
Was a guy named Gary Figgins there at that time? Do you remember him?
I remember him.
He came to our school. He came to the college when I did the second year.
What's that name, Phil?
Gary Figgins. Do you remember Gary
Oh,
Figgins?
sure.
He was only there a year, and then he came the second year just a weekend left, and I never saw him or heard of him from that.
I
When
think
he came
he's
to
a
the
bus
church.
director in a church somewhere.
You think so?
Wow.
Yeah, I hope so. Wow.
Well, it is a small world.
Are we ready to go eat?
Yeah. We just go back the same way we came.
How old is this facility?
Well, this part was built in. Started to build in 1859.
The church we just chapel were in?
That was 1928. I know.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes.
We had our tonight.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm Lord. Yeah. That's for sure. He's really talented.
Our son is.
Oh, he can see everything. Yeah, that's all right.
Money or connections? A lot of hard work.
That's the way it was.
Spent a lot of time on one of those, Brother Harold.
Is that right? Farmall H, huh?
He's got one at his house, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Dad got a new one like that about 1947.
Let's skip lunch and go to
$2,100.
There you go.
2100.
Yeah, with the cultivator.
And that was expensive probably back in that day, wasn't it?
I guess so.
They put a tree mark.
Oh, that's
This is
nice.
Nate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you. Yeah. Yeah, you can. No, we haven't. But we're working on it.
One reason it'd be so great is because it's so unique.
Yeah, I know.
And every time we walk down the holy preacher says, and he stops and he looks and he asks questions. He asks every week about the pictures.
Oh, we're way in the back.
Yeah. Well, in fact, we lined somebody up to do it. We have a lady in the church that's kind of a photographer, and in fact, last Sunday, she was going to take our picture, but it was raining, and so we decided we're like, yeah. But we are working on it. It's a shame. Famous last year.
I know you're a good man.
See your coffee station up front here? You see your coffee pot up front here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they make
She used to be a nurse worker. She adorable. Oh, look at the little one. Look at her waving.
They are going with us, aren't they?
They're going to meet with us. Wherever we're going, I don't know.